What is up to my island people? What is up to my school? And welcome back to my islanders, guys. Today we are gonna check out Blackburn. I don't even know how to pronounce this word. Buccaneer. Buccaneer. Blackburn Buccaneer. British nuclear bomber. I think I said that wrong. If I did, I'm so terribly sorry. Forgive me in advance. If I said it, if I said what? If oh yeah, if I say it's correct, yeah, shout out to me. Like the video if you want more of this content on the island. I don't know what this is yet, but I'm guessing it has to do with a British nuclear bomber, and I'm excited to check it out. So guys, let's dive into this. Like the video, let's go. Yeah.
For some amateur aviators, a fighter plane is the ultimate tycoon toy. But Ian Pringle wanted something much bigger and much deadlier. He wanted a nuclear bomber, the Buccaneer. Flying one of these definitely puts you in a class of your own.
I saw a Buccaneer parked in the hangar for sale, and I used to sit in the cockpit because as a kid I saw one of these Buccaneers do an air show, and I was very, very impressed with it. And I just thought, oh, I'd love to fly this thing one day, never thinking it would happen.
Ian finally managed to buy one and transported it to Thunder City in South Africa, owned by friend and fellow flight fanatic Mike Beachy Head. He keeps it at Thunder City not only because of the fantastic engineering facilities, but because South Africa is one of the very few places in the world that will allow civilians to fly a nuclear bomber. Ian is not your average high flyer. He had a highly successful career in oil and was the youngest ever director on the board of Castrol. Now flying his nuclear bomber is his full-time hobby.
You know, I find this really cool, but I find it really interesting that this country is the only country that will let a civilian fly a nuclear bomb. Why? So like there's people just going up with their nuclear bombs to fly around. Like this is normal, this is regular, this is everyday regular stuff.
I've just retired from full-time work, so now I've got the choice to do what I want to do. I think it's important we all have a little passion somewhere.
And his passion is the Buccaneer. It can carry 4 1,000-pound bombs, Martel missiles, and air-to-surface missiles, or a single nuclear weapon. It entered service with the British Royal Navy in 1962 and has folding wings, so it can operate from both land and aircraft carriers.
Still got the nuclear selector or the Martel missile selector, the air-to-air Sidewinder missile selector. They're all still there. They're all still here in this aircraft. So it's fun twiddling with them some days, but they're not armed.
Having managed to get the plane to South Africa, the next hurdle was to learn to fly it and become only the second civilian ever to fly one. Ian had flown light aircraft before. He'd even flown the first private aircraft to gain clearance from Singapore to Vietnam. But this aircraft was in a different league. There are 174 switches and controls to learn and check for each flight, and no fly-by-wire computers to help him fly the plane.
Like he is so brave, he is so special, he is so lucky, he is the second person to be flying this Buccaneer out there. Wow, but you know, he still plays with the gadgets even though there is no bombs attached to it. So what is he doing? Is he like pretending to be blowing up stuff? I don't know, but that's really, really cool that, you know, this thing is so rare and you're the second person, you know, playing with it, flying it with know-how. Like, look at how much switches, oh my goodness.
I spend a lot of time in the cockpit, just in the hangar, going through emergency procedures, simulating all sorts of problems you could have in the cockpit. That also helps you get quite fast at identifying which things are where.
The next big challenge was his first solo flight. It's scary enough going behind the wheel of a car for the first time, but Ian was going to be piloting a 62,000-pound nuclear bomber at over 600 miles per hour. Unlike most planes, the instructor sits behind with no flight controls of any kind. It was all down to Ian. If he made a mistake, there was nothing the instructor could do to save them.
My biggest challenge was that my first flight was my first solo. I felt nervous, extremely nervous, almost thought of pulling out and not doing it.
Ian pulled himself together and took off.
I didn't think much more about it until I was roaring down the runway, and when we went gliding past Robben Island at 300 knots, I suddenly realized, well, this is great. I feel tremendous, liberated. I'm flying this thing, and then it dawned on me, well, we have to get it back on the ground again.
You know, like I'm looking at this and I'm wondering why. All I'm wondering is why, you know, if he makes any wrong moves, any mistakes, there's no one to help him, no one to guide him, it's all on him. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is too mind taxing for me, the anxiety. He is brave, he is courageous, and I commend him. I couldn't. I couldn't.
Ian managed to land his bomber smoothly, and he is now one of only 2 civilian pilots ever to fly the Buccaneer.
Flying this aircraft is superb. It's got enormous power. It's got a forward tilted cockpit, so your visibility for low-level flying is absolutely superb.
Because the Buccaneer was designed to fly extremely low under enemy radar, drop its bombs, and then run for home, the pilots needed the excellent visibility. So it has a large canopy giving a nearly 180-degree view. To perform its mission without being detected, it would fly at 645 miles per hour, sometimes only 30 feet above the surface. For Ian, the Buccaneer gives him the thrill executive toys like sports cars just can't deliver.
Flying jets, of course, is the speed and the way you can throw the aircraft around and do massive height climbs, do low-level flying in the Buccaneer. That's superb, and I think just the buzz of getting around the sky so fast.
For him, it's like a toy. For me, I'm petrified. Like, I am afraid of flying. I'm afraid of flying and, you know, being off the ground, being in the sky, the heights, everything. And he's just having a whale of a time because a regular toy couldn't do this for him. He needs to be up there. He needs to be doing it. But beyond the fears, like, you know, looking past the fear, he's the second person to fly it, and he should be very proud of himself.
And there's the additional buzz that any mistake could be fatal.
The chances are high if you're not concentrating, of selecting the wrong thing and suddenly falling out of the sky and killing yourself.
Even though this nuclear strike plane is 35 years old, it gives Ian the adrenaline rush he craves.
This aircraft still today outperforms a lot of frontline aircraft you have in the Air Forces. It's a fantastic aircraft. It's a challenge. And the more I fly it, the more I love it.
But there is one plane that is an even greater challenge than the Buccaneer.
Wow, this is crazy. So the Blackburn Buccaneer, British nuclear bomber. Now I commend him for being the second person to fly this thing, but for me, I cannot get over my fears, and I'm like, why one mistake and he goes crashing down just because you want to have a little fun, a little adrenaline. But I mean, to each his own. Let me know how you guys feel about it, but that was really cool. You know, little turns, too much for my anxiety to take at once. Guys, like the video if you want more of the British nuclear bomber on the island. Thank you guys for being here. Bye.